This is what the bracket looks like. So yesterday we completed 2002, 1982. They're going to the semis. So we're going to be looking at the right side of the bracket. Let's start off with 1970 and 1986, two World Cups that were held in Mexico. And there was the one in 2006 that was in Mexico, I think, wasn't it?
Well, the current one is going to be in Mexico, at least in part. But yeah, 70, 86, and then this one.
So 4 times Mexico has hosted them. I think that's a record. 1970. Whitty, you did say this looked like a different sport.
Okay, all right, we're going to throw that out there.
You did just reveal that in the break. So walk us through this team. Why did it look like such a different sport?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just, you compare it to now, it's just the tempo. And I think when you look, it's kind of fascinating we set the team up in exactly this way, because when you look at obviously the defining team of this World Cup is Brazil, 1970. It's sort of word association with great World Cup teams. It's Brazil, 1970. And the reason why is because obviously you have Pelé, one of the greatest players of all time. But also you have Jairzinho, you have Gerson, you have Rivellino, all in the team, along with Tostão, who was a number 10 in his own right. So you basically have 5 players that are number 10s for their club, and yet they all come together to form a brilliant attacking force. We're focusing on Rivellino and what he delivered throughout the tournament. Scores in the opening game against Czechoslovakia. He scored in the quarterfinal against Peru, and in the semifinal against Uruguay as well. But the Brazil team is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, we see the 3 goals. He has the 3 assists as well. This was a team that just played at absolute full flow throughout the duration of this World Cup. We give him our #1 SofaScore rating with the best player rating throughout the tournament. Obviously, the dribbles and the shots, and he was just absolutely fantastic. To rise above in a team like Brazil 1970 that had so many top-level attacking talents is just extraordinary on his part. Yeah,
that Brazil side won all 6 of their games that year.
For me, I wasn't alive. I'll actually put my passport on the line. I wasn't actually alive during this time. I think the only person who may have been alive is Jeff Shreves to watch his Brazilian side. But it's scary to think that just how much quality from a technical standpoint. This is really where the birth of Jogo Bonito and Samba football was really seen by the entirety of world football. And when you talk about Rivellino, arguably one of the best left-footed footballers on planet Earth that the football world has ever seen. Some of the goals that he scored, just the ability to just get the ball, roll it out, and then hit it. The ball just corkscrews into the top corner. One player that I'm shocked isn't in there. How is the captain of the Brazilian national team, Carlos Alberto, that scores the greatest team goal in World Cup history, not in there? SofaScore, I need answers.
Hey, it all goes down to the numbers. So that was when the World Cup took place in Mexico in 1970, but 16 years later it also took place in Mexico. I think the biggest name that stands out on that starting 11 there is Maradona. He's even got a SofaScore rating of 9. It'll be interesting to see if you compare Maradona and Pelé in each of these sides, but look, a standout team there.
Yeah, just so much quality in terms of individual moments of brilliance. England fans are going to be pissed off because the Golden Boot winner, Gary Lineker, ain't in the team. I thought goals meant something for Numbers Don't Lie. Well, maybe our version will do that, 1986 team. But Maradona was just an inspiration. And I know that a lot of times when we talk about Argentinian football, we compare Lionel Messi to some of the world's greats. But before there was a Messi, there was Diego Maradona. But when you talk about the 2 GOATs and the GOAT of GOATs, this has been the conversation for the longest time, Woody, in terms of who is the greatest footballer of all time. 2 athletes, 2 players who inspired a nation, but also captivated the entire world with just their imagination, the way they played football. They had a tenacity about them and just this strong-willedness that they were going to put the entire country on their back to greatness.
Yeah, I mean, Maradona, there are still people who will say, I'll take Maradona over Messi. And he was that level of good. Obviously, the 5 goals, the 5 assists. One of those goals is, of course, the famous hand of God goal. But I think more importantly, more important than that goal, well, I do kind of want to sort of dispel the sort of English view of that game, which is we were robbed by the hand of God. Let's be very clear. This guy ran through 8 defenders en route to scoring probably the greatest goal that has ever been scored in a World Cup. And Argentina absolutely hammered England in that game. And the hand of God was merely a footnote. It was not the story of that game, but even still, he was absolutely sensational. But I mean, Pelé winning multiple World Cups is an extraordinary figure for him. And yeah, I mean, I think in the overall, more players in that Mexico 1970 team will be remembered as opposed to the 86 team, but Maradona as the singular figure I think is worth remembering.
You mentioned there who's the better team. Let's take a look at what the Oracle sees in the deciding factor, who will be going through to the next stage. The tournament of Pelé versus the tournament of Maradona. The Argentine legend was crowned king in '86, but 10 goals from Müller, 7 from Rivellino, plus 5 from Golden Ball winner Pelé would overwhelm any defence.
So we're going 1970 then to the semi-final of our tournament here?
Yes, semi-finals.
All right.
You have to. This 1970 team is insane.
Yeah, we focus so much on Brazil, but Gerd Müller obviously is an all-time figure of the game. Absolutely deserves a mention.
Yeah, so let's see if 1970 will be going up against 2010 or 1966. I believe we're going to be looking at 2010 World Cup, which took place in South Africa, and their starting 11 looks a bit like this.
Oh, some great names here.
Some
great names here. It's great to see that Messi is rated, even though they didn't win the thing. I think it's kind of sort of forgotten that he performed well in some of these tournaments, despite the fact that obviously, it's only the one that he wins that he'll get remembered for. But this Spain team is definitely the one that you remember it right the way through the team. You have Piqué in defense. You have Xavi in midfield. You have Iniesta, obviously, who's in midfield, but we'll kind of nominally put him in to that attacking position as well. But I think there are so many players that feature in this team. Who do you want to pick out? Kingston.
Kingston? I know that Ghana made it to the quarterfinals, but Kingston? Come on, man. There's only one name that's in there for me, and it has to be Iker Casillas.
Yeah.
Spain don't win. Everyone remembers that Andres Iniesta scores the game-winning goal in extra time, but Spain would have never had that moment had it not been for Casillas. Coming up with save after save. Arjen Robben could have gotten player of the match in a World Cup final had it not been for Iker Casillas. So I'm sorry. I love my Ghanaians.
Robben, another player who's missing. Diego Forlan as well in that forward area. This, for me, you see Schweinsteiger there in midfield. This was peak Bastian Schweinsteiger. This was him at his absolute best.
Highlighting a player, though, Thomas Müller, in that German side that finished third. He got the Golden Boot that year, the youngest player to ever win the Golden Boot at a World Cup, 20 years old.
A lot of people forget, and I definitely won't forget this because he scored 2 goals against England, good in. But he actually missed the semifinal against Spain. And maybe we'll do a multiverse of football, an episode on this for Morning Footy, but it makes me wonder what might have been had he been available for that match in the semifinal against Spain. I still think Spain would have won, but he just gave this air of work ethic, this air of I don't care who the opposition is, German efficiency. Prior to the World Cup, there was something that happened. Michael Ballack got injured. He was captaining the team, and Michael Ballack's injury freed up space for this new edition, this new age, this new German revolution, the first edition of Das Football. He was a byproduct of that, and we see the World Cup numbers, which are out of this world. So without Michael Ballack's injury, maybe we never see the likes of Thomas Müller in 2010, Mesut Ozil, Sami Khedira, that generation of talent.
Yeah, okay, so that's the 2010 side. We're going to go back in time in the archives here when the World Cup was in England in 1966. A lot of English flags on that starting 11.
I mean, that's the year that England finally won the thing, although there is, of course, the debate about whether or not the ball crossed the line. We don't need to get into that right now, do we? But yeah, I mean, obviously,
a lot of England hate here.
Some absolutely fantastic players in this group. We see Beckenbauer again in the team, as we saw in the 1970 group as well, playing that sweeper role. Of course, Bobby Moore, Bobby Charlton. We see Eusébio in that forward position. There's so many legends of the game, and of course the goalkeeper that so many of the awards are named after, Lev Yashin, in goal for this team. But we want to talk about Eusébio, who I think is one of those legends of the game that is sort of lost to time a little bit, just because I think Pelé is the player from this generation in attacking areas that gets so much of the acclaim. But 9 goals over the course of his World Cup career. We see over the course of it, within that tournament, 11 shots, the successful dribbles, the SofaScore rating. He was the player of the tournament in that World Cup, despite the fact that they didn't win. So I think Eusébio is one of those figures that probably gets lost to history a little bit too much, considering obviously in order to really go down in the annals of history of winning at a World Cup, you have to go and actually win the thing. So I think Eusébio is one of those players that probably gets forgotten too much, though.
Yeah, that was Portugal's best ever finish in 3rd place. They've never been able to finish higher. Potentially we might see that this year. It might pique your interest. That's quite clever how they've done that.
It might pique your interest.
Yeah, pique your interest. These two going against each other, what would that look like?
Well, I mean, it's sort of interesting. One of the stories with Spain and with Barcelona of that time was And people always thought you could get at Piqué because of the way that the systems works in the possession, how much those defenders were exposed. But Piqué always handled himself in vast amounts of space. He could always handle himself. So, yeah, it actually going to be a fascinating matchup of one of the great goal scorers of all time against one of the best central defenders of all time.
The big thing that I look at is dribbles defended versus successful dribbles rate. You have one of the iconic dribblers at a World Cup from that 1966 era. And actually, if you go and watch the black and white footage, playing in the Champions League final against Manchester United a few years later, I think it's 1968. So that is going to be the matchup that I see in the facet of the game is Piqué was such an excellent reader of the game. He also had Carlos Puyol, which didn't hurt as well. But if this was just a one-off, one-on-one, you had to bet your house. Now, I'm going to bet my daughter on it. Not going to say my kids, but just your house. Who's going to win that matchup? Eusébio all day.
Yeah, well, Piqué was in that Spanish winning squad that won the World Cup in 2010 for the first time in Spanish history. So a lot of history on these two sides. So let's see what the Oracle sees, deciding who will go through. Oh, they've picked 2010. The 1966 team is historic, full of legends like Eusébio, Charlton and Beckenbauer at their peak. But good luck getting the ball off Xavi, Schweinsteiger, Schneider and Messi. 2010 has the ultimate control.
Can I just say something really quick? We don't give enough respect to Wesley Sneijder in that 2010 season. What? Wesley Sneijder, I'll say this. Wesley Sneijder should have won the Ballon d'Or that season. I know that Messi, the GOAT, this, that. I thought that was a footballing robbery. And if you're going to base it on a World Cup year, outperformed Lionel Messi. The numbers do lie in this for the first time ever on SofaScore. Because without him, I go back to the game against Brazil in the quarterfinals, I think it was. He was the best player on the pitch. He pretty much willed the Dutch national team through that game. And Arjen Robben, once again, without Casillas and not Kingston being in goal, but without Iker Casillas, if Arjen Robben scores one of the two chances he has, the player that gave him the final pass was Wesley Sneijder. So he would have had the game-winning assist in the World Cup final.
You're talking about ifs, Lahoud. You're talking about ifs.
Yeah.
We're talking about things that happen.
This isn't the multiverse segment.
Okay, I'll save that for next year.
So we've got 2010 going through. They're going to be taking on 1970 in the semi-finals. We're actually going to be previewing that in tomorrow's show as well. So you've got 2002, 1982, 1970, 2010.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.